now I want to welcome Ingo Bleier of Erste Group. He is Chief Corporates and Markets Officer of Erste Group, our main sponsor of the conference today. And I want to thank you, Ingo, very much for your ongoing support all the time. Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this will be the last part of the so-called opening words. You had quite a lot. I will not ask you to engage or connect. I'll just ask you to listen maybe for a few minutes after a long, election night that we had. I cannot open this conference without commenting on what's going on, obviously, in the US and in Europe. I'm not opening this for the first time. We have been here several times as we've been sponsoring it for a number of years. But it is the first time that I'm co-opening it, or how shall we say, after a US election event. And I think there will be a lot of, critical views, comments around the results. I think Europe, as usual, got it wrong in the expectations as to how this would end. But it means that Europe needs to get on its feet in a very, very strong manner. The Draghi report that was mentioned several times today is called The Future of European Competitiveness. I have the first 74 pages here. The whole thing has 2 parts and is more than 300 pages long. And it is very recommended reading because it goes through a lot of areas where I believe Europe should really act. I differ a little bit on the view that there needs to be a lot of fiscal expansion. We have seen a massive fiscal expansion in the US and in Europe, but I completely agree that we need far stronger capital markets in Europe. So with what America will do now, a lot, I think, will be difficult for us. Should we therefore say that the model that they have in capital markets doesn't work for us? No. It definitely is a very important inspiration for us, and that takes me to the topic of pension funds. We have had a gathering recently of the pension fund managers. So we hold majority participations or participations of pension funds across Austria and Central Eastern Europe. In Austria, only around a quarter of the employees in our economy are enrolled in a Pillar 2 pension plan. Only a quarter. Pension plan assets in Europe are around a third of European GDP. In the US, it's 140%. We have not enough long-term patient equity in Europe. Now, I'm speaking here to a crowd of venture capitalists and private equity investors. So if we explain to each other that this is important, fine, but that will not move the needle at all. What we need is beyond bankers like us, beyond financial sector players, we need people from the corporate sector, from the companies to go out and speak to politicians, to go out and speak publicly that this is important. Politicians don't win, we say in German, a Blumentopf, with that strategy. And they expect bankers and asset managers to speak about this. And the response is you just want more assets so that you can have higher asset management fees, period. Yeah? So that's the response. So it is not us, but really very much the corporate sector that needs to voice the interest much stronger, and the retail sector. We are destroying massively value, and this may surprise you to hear it from we're originally a savings bank, from a savings banker that has too much money on low-yielding savings deposits. Our strategy will move very much to converting those into funds, into long-term investments, and into pension plans, because we need to preserve real financial wealth with the current and the future generation. So that is a topic that is of utmost importance. It's chapter 5 in the first part of the Draghi report. Yeah? But it is a very good and concise analysis of the situation we have in Europe and what needs to change. So have a look at it, read it, speak about it. Now, you could say, okay, what is Erste doing? Yeah? Do you put your money where your mouth is? Our group is running a very substantial loan book. Yeah? Only the corporate lending book that I'm responsible for, together with the corporate board members across Erste, is around 80 billion euros. Yeah? Less than 1%, 800 million, we have in private equity or corporate participations. And we are the biggest asset manager in Central Eastern Europe. Right? We have more than 80 billion currently in assets under management in what we call Erste Asset Management. It's our subsidiary. But less than 1% of what the group has on the corporate loan book is in private equity fund investments, venture capital funds, or direct corporate participations. Still, it's a lot. Yeah? It's a couple of 100 million that we have invested, but it's still tiny, and it shows you we're a reflection of what is a bank credit-driven European economy. And in the old days, this was not an issue because bank credit was used for equity. Over generations here after the war, bank credit was used for equity. This is over. With the regulation we have, with the standards we have, we do not finance equity anymore with bank credit. This has changed. So we need this industry to step up massively, massively. And that means speaking out. Speaking at those conferences, sponsoring such events, raising the voices, and not only blaming politicians, but talking to them. Yeah? Going for a dialogue and making sure that we get to a different result. So we put our money where our mouth is. We will increase our commitments. We have done in several forms, venture capital investments. We build up the private markets business in our asset management area, but it needs to grow massively. Of the pension fund managers that we gathered across the group, only 2 have small allocations to private equity and 1 to private debt investments, credit funds, yeah? Also with a tiny proportion. So we need a much larger commitment. We are standing for this as Erste Group. We want to retain the value chain in capital markets. We have announced recently a joint venture with BADA, so just that you're informed. That does not mean that we are giving away any of our research, syndicate, or origination business. We retain the full value chain, but we want to create a bigger European research product, also to bring companies, once they've been financed enough by venture capital and private equity, also to the public equity markets. Yeah, so we're covering the whole spectrum, and I'm looking forward to engaging with you, with your colleagues, to make this industry stronger. Thanks for your attention. Have a great conference. Thank you.